Echo quintal is P1. Best lap is a 132.546. Xavier Schalkwijk in Dentons is P3. Best lap is a 136.240. Jordan Hoban in Dentons is 6th. Host from South Africa is P8. Gary Vander Vyl is P5. Jordan Hoban in Old Hall Corner is 2nd. Best lap is a 132.839. Host in Druids Corner is 8th. 5 minutes remaining in the session. Announcer bot is active. "25 minutes remaining in the session. Chad De Jong in Old Hall corner is P1. The qualification session is at Converted Laser Scan from ACC in Little Budworth, Tarp Orley, Cheshire, Great Britain. The wind speed is 10 km/h from the northeast. Xavier Chalquite in the Avenue is 5th. Kai Brown in Old Hall corner is P10. Gary Vander Byl is 7th. Nico Quintal is P1. Nico Quintal is up 6.03 in Island Bend. Nico Quintal is up 6.52 in Knickerbrook. Nico Quintal is up 5.48 in Warwick Bridge. Xavier Schalkwijk is third. Gary Vander Byl in Deer Leap is sixth. Gary Vander Byl improved his P4 with a 136.541. 2.731 off pole. Host is P13 up 17.94. Host is up 17.58 in Druids Corner. Nico Quintal is P6 up 0.67. Chad de Jong is third. Five minutes remaining in the session. Werner S. from South Africa is P14. Kai Brown in Lodge Corner is P10. Jordan Hoban is provisional pole with a 133.337. Kai Brown improved his fifth with a 134.726. 1.594 off pole. Chad Bell in Deer Leap is 12. Chad Bell improved his fifth with a 134.007. 0.875 off pole. Kyle Phillips in Lodge Corner is P11 up 1.76. Kyle Phillips improved his P10 with a 138.959. 5.827 off pole. Chad de Jong in Lodge Corner is 7th up 0.77. Nico Quintal is provisional pole with a 133.312. Chad de Jong improved his P7 with a 134.445. 1.313 off pole. Werner S. in Deer Leap is 14th. Chad Bell is P7 up 0.55. Chad Bell is provisional pole with a 133.224. Kyle Phillips is 12th up 0.68. Nico Quintal is P3. Nico Quintal is provisional pole with a 132.250. Host in Lodge Corner is P15. Werner, S, is 5th. Xavier Schalkwijk is 14th. Kai Brown is P10 up 0.34. Kai Brown improved is P9 with a 134.256. 2.006 off pole. Jordan Hoban is 4th up 0.32. Jordan Hoban is up 0.46 in Knickerbrook. Graham Brown in Knickerbrook is 11th up 0.79. Best lap is a 136.113. 3.863 off pole. Graham Brown is up 0.72 in Warwick Bridge. The qualifying session is now in overtime. Graham Brown improved is P7 with a 133.943. 1.693 off pole. Denise Joubert from South Africa is 15th up 0.51. Kyle Phillips in Clay Hill is 13th up 0.62. Post in Warwick Bridge is P9 up 0.42. The race session is at converted laser scan from ACC in Little Budworth, Tarp Orley, Cheshire, Great Britain. The wind speed is 14 km/h from the northeast. Nico Quintal is first. Chad Bell is P2. Morgan Goodwin is P3. Jordan Hoban is P4. Werner, S, from South Africa is P5. Jason Wright is 6th. Graham Brown is P7. Kat Caperi is P8. Host is P9. Kai Brown is P10. Chad de Jong is 11th. Gary Vander Byl is 12th. Kyle Phillips is P13. Denise Joubert from South Africa is P14. Xavier Schalkwijk is P15. Nico Quintal is 1st. "20 minutes remaining in the session. Race start." Chad Bell in the avenue is P2. Nico Quintal in Lakeside is P2. is P3. Kat Caperi in Knickerbrook is P4. Werner, S, is P5. Graham Brown in Lodge Corner is 6th. Graham Brown lost 6th to Morgan Goodwin. Morgan Goodwin is P7. Morgan Goodwin passed Graham Brown for P6. Graham Brown on lap 2 is 9, 0.4 ahead of Kai Brown. Graham Brown is now P12. Denise Joubert is 13, 0.4 ahead of Gary Vander Wyl. Gary Vander Wyl is P14, 0.7 behind Denise Joubert. Denise Joubert in Knickerbrook is P14, 0.1 behind Gary Vander Wyl. Nico Quintal is P2, 0.6 behind Chad Bell. Werner, S, is 5th, 0.2 behind Kat Caperi. Kat Caperi in Denton's is P5 battling Werner, S. Jason Wright is P6, 0.5 ahead of Werner, S. Werner, S, in Hilltop is 7th, 1.0 behind Jason Wright. Werner, S, was 0.7 faster last lap. Kyle Phillips is P12, 0.3 behind Graham Brown. Nico Quintal is 2nd, 0.8 behind Chad Bell. Kat Caperi is P5. Minutes remaining in the session. Jason Wright in the Avenue is P6, 0.5 behind Kat Caperi. Werner, S, in Lakeside is 7th, 0.4 behind Jason Wright. Kyle Phillips in Lakeside is 13, 0.1 behind Gary Vander Wyl. on lap 4 is P2, 1.0 behind Chad Bell. Jason Wright in Druid's corner is P6, 0.1 ahead of Werner, S. Nico Quintal is second. Jason Wright in Old Hall corner is 7th, 0.4 behind Werner, S. Werner, S, was 1.1 faster last lap. Kai Brown is 10th, 0.8 behind Post. Denise Joubert in Old Hall corner is P15, 0.8 behind Chad de Jong. Nico Quintal in Clay Hill on lap 5 is second, 0.6 behind Chad Bell. Werner, S, on lap 5 is P6, 0.3 behind Kat Caperi. Jason Wright is P7, 0.6 behind Werner, S. Kai Brown on lap 5 is P10, 0.7 behind Post. Nico Quintal is second, 0.2 behind Chad Bell. Gary Vander Bijl entering the pits is 12th. Jason Wright is P6, 0.2 ahead of Kat Caperi. Jason Wright lost 6th to Kat Caperi. Kai Brown in Hilltop on lap 6 is 10, 0.3 behind Post. Gary Vander Bijl exiting pits. Nico Quintal in Druid's corner is second, 0.3 behind Chad Bell. Jason Wright in Warwick Bridge is P7. Kai Brown is P10 battling Post. Nico Quintal in Lakeside is second, 0.4 behind Chad Bell. Jason Wright exiting pits. 10 minutes remaining in the session. Kai Brown is P9, 1.0 behind Post. Nico Quintal is P2. Best lap is a 1:32.308. 0.099 off the fastest lap. Kai Brown in Knickerbrook on lap 7 is 9th, 0.5 behind Post. Nico Quintal is second, 0.4 behind Chad Bell. Kai Brown is 9, 0.6 behind host. Nico Quintal in Lakeside is P2, 0.4 behind Chad Bell. Kai Brown in Cascades is P9, 0.4 behind host. Kyle Phillips entering the pits is P13. Nico Quintal in Knickerbrook is P2, 0.4 behind Chad Bell. Kai Brown is 9, 0.3 behind host. Kyle Phillips exiting pits. Denise Joubert in Dentons is P14, 0.5 ahead of Gary Vander Byl. Jordan Hoban is P3, 1.0 ahead of Morgan Goodwin. Werner, S, is P4. Jordan Hoban exiting pits. Graham Brown is P10. Graham Brown entering the pits is 10th. Nico Quintal is P2. Gary Vander Byl in Druids Corner is 14, 1.0 behind Kyle Phillips. Graham Brown exiting pits. Nico Quintal on lap 9 is second, 0.2 behind Chad Bell. Kai Brown in Knickerbrook is 9, 0.8 behind host. Chad Bell is second, 2.6 behind Nico Quintal. Chad Bell entering the pits is P2. Werner, S, entering the pits is P4. Jordan Hoban is 7, 3.5 ahead of Kai Brown. Chad Bell exiting pits. Morgan Goodwin exiting pits. Jordan Hoban is now P2. Kat Caperi is P8. Werner, S, exiting pits. Kat Caperi exiting pits. Kat Caperi is now 8. Xavier Schalkwijk exiting pits. Chad Bell in Lakeside is P3, 0.1 ahead of Morgan Goodwin. 5 minutes remaining in the session. Chad Bell lost P3 to Morgan Goodwin. Host is 8th, 0.4 ahead of Kat Caperi. Host lost P8 to Kat Caperi. Chad De Jong exiting pits. Morgan Goodwin in Knickerbrook is 3rd, 0.6 ahead of Chad Bell. Chad Bell in Druids Corner is 4th, 0.7 behind Morgan Goodwin. Jason Wright is P7, 0.1 behind Kai Brown. Nico Quintal exiting pits. Jason Wright passed Kai Brown from P6. Kai Brown on lap 10 is P7, 1.4 ahead of Kat Caperi. Kai Brown entering the pits is 8th. Denise Joubert is P15. Morgan Goodwin is 3rd, 0.7 behind Jordan Hoban. Kai Brown exiting pits. Post exiting pits. Is P4, 1.1 behind Morgan Goodwin. Denise Joubert entering the pits is P15. Morgan Goodwin in Lodge Corner is 3rd, 0.5 behind Jordan Hoban. Jordan Hoban is P3. Best lap is a 1:32.593. 0.384 off the fastest lap. Jordan Hoban passed Morgan Goodwin for 2nd. Denise Joubert exiting pits. Jordan Hoban lost 2nd to Morgan Goodwin. Chad Bell is 4th. Jordan Hoban is 3rd, 0.7 ahead of Chad Bell. Chad Bell in Nicaragua is P4. Best lap is a 1:32.209. Jordan Hoban is 3rd, 0.1 ahead of Chad Bell. Chad Bell was 0.8 faster last lap. Chad Bell on lap 12 is P3 battling Jordan Hoban. Jordan Hoban is 4th, 0.1 behind Chad Bell. Jason Wright in the Avenue is P6. Best lap is a 1:32.327. 0.118 off the fastest lap. Gary Vander Vyl in Clay Hill is 14. Best lap is a 1:36.068. 3.859 off the fastest lap. Chad Bell on lap 13 is 3rd, 0.7 behind Morgan Goodwin. Jordan Hoban is P4, 0.7 behind Chad Bell. The leader has just finished the race. Nico Quintal finished P1. Morgan Goodwin finished 2nd. Chad Bell finished 3rd. Jordan Hoban finished P4. Jason Wright finished P5. Kat Caperi finished 6th. Xavier Schalkwijk finished P7. Denise Joubert finished 15th. Kai Brown finished 8th. Graham Brown finished P9. Host finished P10. Chad de Jong finished P11. Kyle Phillips finished 12th. Gary Vander Byl finished 13th. The race session is at converted laser scan from ACC in Little Budworth, Tarp Orley, Cheshire, Great Britain. The wind speed is 6 km/h from the north-northeast. Gary Vander Byl is first. Kyle Phillips is P2. Chad de Jong is P3. Host is 4th. Graham Brown is 5th. Kai Brown is P6. Xavier Schalkwijk is P7. Kat Caperi is 8th. Jason Wright is 9th. Jordan Hoban is P10. Chad Bell is P11. Morgan Goodwin is 12th. Nico Quintal is 13th. Werner, S., from South Africa is 14th. Denise Joubert from South Africa is 15th. Gary Vander Byl is P1. 20 minutes remaining in the session. Race start. Jason Wright in the avenue is 10. Xavier Schalkwijk is P10. Nico Quintal is 11. Connor Hess in Nickerrook is 12. Morgan Goodwin is 15th. Morgan Goodwin is now 12. Connor Hess in Druids Corner is P13. Chad Bell is 4th. Kai Brown in Dentons is P5, 0.7 ahead of Graham Brown. Graham Brown is P6, 0.5 behind Kai Brown. Werner, S, is 7th battling Graham Brown. Werner, S, passed Graham Brown for P6. Graham Brown is 7th, 0.4 behind Werner, S. Gary Vander Vyl in Druids Corner is 9th battling Nico Quintal. Kyle Phillips is 11th, 0.2 behind Morgan Goodwin. Xavier Schalkwijk is P12, 0.2 behind Kyle Phillips. Xavier Schalkwijk was 3.2 faster last lap. Connor Hess in Cascades is 13th. Best lap is a 1:35.254. 2.153 off the fastest lap. Connor Hess is now 12th. Chad Bell in Hilltop is 4th, 0.6 behind Kat Caperi. Werner, S, in Nickerbrook is P6, 0.4 behind Kai Brown. Connor Hess in Clay Hill is P10, 0.4 ahead of Xavier Schalkwijk. Xavier Schalkwijk in Warwick Bridge is P11, 0.3 behind Connor Hess. Jason Wright in Deer Leap is P13, 0.1 behind Kyle Phillips. Jason Wright was 5.5 faster last lap. Jason Wright passed Kyle Phillips for P12. Kyle Phillips in the Avenue on lap 4 is P13, 0.5 behind Jason Wright. Werner, S., from South Africa in Hilltop is P5, 0.7 behind Kat Kaperi. Graham Brown is 7th. Best lap is a 1:33.682. 1.465 off the fastest lap. Nico Quintal is P8, 0.4 behind Graham Brown. Connor Hess on lap 4 is P11, 0.5 behind Xavier Schalkwijk. Post in the Avenue is P2, 0.8 ahead of Chad Bell. Chad Bell in Lakeside is P3, 0.5 behind Post. Werner, S., is 5th, 0.5 behind Kat Kaperi. Kai Brown in Nickabrook is 7th, 0.3 ahead of Graham Brown. Graham Brown in Clay Hill is P8, 0.1 behind Kai Brown. Graham Brown passed Kai Brown for 7th. Kai Brown is 8th. Kai Brown is now 7th. Post is 8th, 0.6 behind Kai Brown. Post is now P7. Xavier Schalkwijk in Old Hall Corner is P10, 0.3 behind Jason Wright. Nico Quintal exiting pits. Kyle Phillips is 13, 0.3 behind Nico Quintal. Kai Brown is 6th, 0.3 ahead of Post. Post is 7th, 0.1 behind Kai Brown. Morgan Goodwin in Druids Corner is P8 battling Post. Morgan Goodwin was 8.6 faster last lap. Chad de Jong is 14, 0.4 behind Gary Vander Byl. Chad de Jong was 1.6 faster last lap. Graham Brown entering the pits is 5th. Kai Brown entering the pits is 8th. Xavier Schalkwijk is P11. Connor Hess in Old Hall Corner is P8, 2.9 behind Jason Wright. Jason Wright was 1.1 faster last lap. 10 minutes remaining in the session. Graham Brown exiting pits. Kai Brown exiting pits. Chad Bell is second, 0.6 behind Jordan Hoban. Xavier Schalkwijk exiting pits. Morgan Goodwin is 6th, 0.3 behind Post. Post on lap 7 is P6, 0.2 behind Morgan Goodwin. Morgan Goodwin was 2.6 faster last lap. Jason Wright in Druid's corner is 7th, 0.6 behind Post. Chad de Jong in Druid's corner is P12, 0.6 behind Kai Brown. Chad Bell in Lakeside is P2, 0.2 behind Jordan Hoban. Chad de Jong in Old Hall corner is 11th, 0.5 behind Kai Brown. Jason Wright exiting pits. Jordan Hoban in Knickerbrook is 2nd, 0.6 behind Chad Bell. Jordan Hoban is now P3. Chad Bell is 3rd. Best lap is a 1:32.165. Kat Caperi on lap 8 is 4th, 0.2 behind Chad Bell. Graham Brown in Druid's corner is P9, 0.9 behind Connor Hess. Chad Bell entering the pits is P4. Morgan Goodwin entering the pits is P5. Chad Bell is 4th. Chad Bell exiting pits. Jordan Hoban exiting pits. Werner, S, exiting pits. Morgan Goodwin is P8. Morgan Goodwin exiting pits. Morgan Goodwin is now 8th. Connor Hess exiting pits. Jason Wright in Cascades is 11th, 0.2 behind Morgan Goodwin. Chad Bell is P4, 0.4 ahead of Jordan Hoban. Jordan Hoban is P5, 0.2 behind Chad Bell. Jason Wright in Clay Hill is 10th battling Chad de Jong. Jason Wright lost 10th to Chad de Jong. Xavier Schalkwijk is 13, 0.3 behind Gary Vander Byl. Kat Caperi exiting pits. Connor Hess in Lodge corner is P14, 0.5 behind Xavier Schalkwijk. Post exiting pits. Connor Hess passed Xavier Schalkwijk for P13. 5 minutes remaining in the session. Werner, S, is P4. Chad de Jong exiting pits. Werner, S, is now P5. Graham Brown in Hilltop is 6th, 0.8 behind Werner, S. Kai Brown in Knickerbrook is P8, 0.5 behind Morgan Goodwin. Host in Knickerbrook is 10th, 0.1 behind Jason Wright. Host lost P11 to Gary Vander Byl. Jordan Hoban in Deer Leap on lap 10 is 3rd, 0.4 behind Kat Caperi. Chad Bell in the Avenue is P5 battling Werner, S. Werner, S, in Lakeside is 6th, 0.3 behind Chad Bell. Werner, S, was 0.6 faster last lap. Gary Vander Byl entering the pits is P15. Kat Caperi is P3, 0.3 behind Jordan Hoban. Graham Brown in Knickerbrook is 5th. Best lap is a 1:33.237, 1.072 off the fastest lap. Gary Vander Byl exiting pits. Werner, S, in Druids Corner is P6 battling Graham Brown. Werner, S, passed Graham Brown for 5th. Graham Brown in Lodge Corner is 6th, 0.4 behind Werner, S. Kyle Phillips exiting pits. Graham Brown is now P5. Kyle Phillips entering the pits is 16. Xavier Schalkwijk is 12, 1.5 behind Host. Xavier Schalkwijk was 22.0 faster last lap. Xavier Schalkwijk is now P11. Graham Brown is 5th, 1.1 behind Chad Bell. Kyle Phillips exiting pits. Xavier Schalkwijk is P11, 1.0 behind Host. Graham Brown in Deer Leap is P5, 1.0 behind Chad Bell. Host in Lodge Corner is 11, 0.4 behind Xavier Schalkwijk. Graham Brown is 5th, 1.2 behind Chad Bell. Host is 11, 0.7 behind Xavier Schalkwijk. The leader has just finished the race. Nico Quintal finished P1. Jordan Hoban finished second. Kat Caperi finished third. Chad Bell finished fourth. Graham Brown finished P5. Morgan Goodwin finished P6. Kai Brown finished P7. Jason Wright finished 8th. Connor Hess finished 9th. Xavier Schalkwijk finished P10. Host finished P11. Chad de Jong finished 12. Gary Vander Byl is P13. Gary Vander Byl finished P13. Kyle Phillips finished 14th. Announcer bot is active. Nico Quintal in Knickerbrook is P1. Jordan Hoban in Lodge Corner is first. The race session is at converted laser scan from ACC in Little Budworth, Tarp Orley, Cheshire, Great Britain. The wind speed is 11 km/h from the northeast. Chad de Jong is P1. Chad Bell is second. Morgan Goodwin is third. Jason Wright is fourth. Host is P5. Kai Brown is sixth. Jordan Hoban is P7. Connor Hess is eighth. Kat Caperi is P9. Xavier Schalkwijk is 10th. Adam Brown is 11th. Gary Vander Byl is P12. Nico Quintal is P13. Kyle Phillips is P14. Graham Brown is P15. Chad de Jong is P1. 20 minutes remaining in the session. Race start. Chad Bell in the avenue is P2. Morgan Goodwin in Lakeside is third. Jason Wright in Hilltop is fourth. Post in Knickerbrook is P5. Jordan Hoban is sixth. Connor Hess in Lodge Corner is seventh. Nico Quintal is 9, 0.4 ahead of Kai Brown. Kai Brown is 10, 0.4 behind Nico Quintal. Kyle Phillips is 12, 0.3 behind Graham Brown. Xavier Schalkwijk is 14, 0.6 behind Graham Brown. Xavier Schalkwijk passed Graham Brown for P13. Graham Brown in Knickerbrook on lap 2 is 14, 0.6 behind Xavier Schalkwijk. Morgan Goodwin in Lodge Corner is second, 1.0 behind Chad Bell. Nico Quintal is P7, 0.4 behind Hoos. Kat Caperi is P8. Best lap is a 1:35.949. 3.364 off the fastest lap. Nico Quintal in Lakeside is P8, 0.1 behind Jordan Hoban. Nico Quintal was 4.2 faster last lap. Kyle Phillips in Island Bend is 13, 0.1 behind Xavier Schalkwijk. Kyle Phillips passed Xavier Schalkwijk for 12. Kyle Phillips lost P12 to Xavier Schalkwijk. Graham Brown in Knickerbrook is 14, 0.7 behind Kyle Phillips. Graham Brown is now 13. Xavier Schalkwijk is 14, 0.2 behind Graham Brown. Xavier Schalkwijk passed Kyle Phillips for 12. Graham Brown is 14, 0.9 behind Kyle Phillips. 15 minutes remaining in the session. Graham Brown passed Kyle Phillips for P13. Kyle Phillips in Deer Leap is P14, 0.7 behind Graham Brown. Morgan Goodwin in Hilltop is P2, 0.4 behind Chad Bell. Jason Wright is 4th, 0.2 ahead of Connor Hess. Jason Wright was 0.7 faster last lap. Connor Hess in Clay Hill on lap 4 is 5th, 0.3 behind Jason Wright. Kat Caperi in Druids Corner is 7th, 0.3 behind Jordan Hogan. Morgan Goodwin on lap 5 is P2, 0.1 behind Chad Bell. Jason Wright is 4th, 0.3 behind Chad DeJong. Chad DeJong is 5th battling Jason Wright. Chad DeJong passed Connor Hess for P3. Connor Hess is P4, 0.7 behind Chad DeJong. Kat Caperi and Nick LeBrook on lap 5 is P6, 0.5 ahead of Nico Quintal. Nico Quintal in Druids Corner is 7th, 0.5 behind Kat Caperi. Nico Quintal was 3.0 faster last lap. Kai Brown is 9th. Connor Hess in the Avenue is P4. Best lap is a 1:33.442. 1.432 off the fastest lap. Kai Brown in Cascades is P8, 0.8 behind Jason Wright. Kai Brown is now P9. Nico Quintal exiting pits. Chad Bell is P3, 0.5 behind Morgan Goodwin. Connor Hess is P6, 0.7 behind Jordan Hogan. Chad Bell is 3rd, 0.5 behind Morgan Goodwin. Jordan Hoven in Lodge Corner is P5, 0.4 ahead of Connor Hess. Connor Hess is 5th, 0.5 ahead of Kat Caperi. Kat Caperi in Cascades is P6, 0.6 behind Connor Hess. 10 minutes remaining in the session. Chad Bell in Hilltop is second, 0.6 behind Morgan Goodwin. Jordan Hoban in Nickerbrooke is fourth, 0.5 behind Chad DeJong. Connor Hess in Clay Hill is fifth, 0.5 behind Jordan Hoban. Is P6, 0.8 behind Connor Hess. Xavier Schalkwijk exiting pits. Graham Brown in Warwick Bridge is P11, 0.6 behind Gary Vander Vyl. Connor Hess is P4. Best lap is a 1:33.189. 1.179 off the fastest lap. Graham Brown entering the pits is 11th. Jordan Hoban exiting pits. Chad Bell in Hilltop is second, 0.2 behind Morgan Goodwin. Connor Hess is P4, 0.4 behind Chad DeJong. Graham Brown exiting pits. Kat Caperi in Clay Hill is P5, 0.9 behind Connor Hess. Jordan Hoban is 9th, 0.6 behind host. Chad Bell entering the pits is P2. Chad Bell is second. Jordan Hoban is P9, 0.3 behind host. Kai Brown entering the pits is P7. Morgan Goodwin exiting pits. Chad Bell exiting pits. Host entering the pits is 9. Host is 9. Nico Quintal is P11. Gary Vander Vyl entering the pits is P10. Connor Hess exiting pits. Kai Brown exiting pits. Nico Quintal passed host for P9. Host is P10. Host exiting pits. Kat Caperi in Knickerbrook is second, 0.5 ahead of Jason Wright. Gary Vander Vyl exiting pits. Jason Wright in Clay Hill is third, 0.6 behind Kat Caperi. Chad Bell is fifth, 0.3 behind Morgan Goodwin. Nico Quintal in Druids Corner is P9. Best lap is a 1:31.886. Kai Brown in Lodge Corner is 9, 0.5 behind Nico Quintal. Chad DeJong exiting pits. Kat Caperi exiting pits. Chad Bell in Cascades is P3, 0.4 behind Morgan Goodwin. Chad Bell was 0.9 faster last lap. 5 minutes remaining in the session. Kat Caperi is 6th, 0.7 behind Chad de Jong. Chad Bell in Knickerbrook is P3, 0.4 behind Morgan Goodwin. Kat Caperi is P6, 0.3 behind Chad de Jong. Kyle Phillips exiting pits. Chad Bell in Lodge Corner on lap 10 is 3rd, 0.1 behind Morgan Goodwin. Kat Caperi is P6, 0.5 behind Chad de Jong. Jason Wright exiting pits. Kat Caperi is now P5. Connor Hess in Dentons is 6th, 0.7 behind Kat Caperi. Chad Bell is P2, 0.6 behind Morgan Goodwin. Kat Caperi is P5, 0.3 behind Chad de Jong. Connor Hess is P6, 0.8 behind Kat Caperi. Chad Bell is 2nd, 0.2 behind Morgan Goodwin. Connor Hess in Deer Leap is P5, 0.2 behind Kat Caperi. Kat Caperi in the Avenue is P5, 0.2 behind Connor Hess. Chad de Jong in Lakeside is P6, 0.5 behind Kat Caperi. Jason Wright in Hilltop is P7, 0.5 behind Chad de Jong. Chad de Jong was 17.2 faster last lap. Chad Bell in Clay Hill is 2nd, 0.7 ahead of Jordan Hoban. Jordan Hoban in Warwick Bridge is P3, 0.4 behind Chad Bell. Jordan Hoban was 0.6 faster last lap. Kat Caperi in Lodge Corner is P5, 0.5 ahead of Chad de Jong. Chad de Jong in Old Hall Corner on lap 13 is P6, 0.2 ahead of Jason Wright. Jason Wright was 0.9 faster last lap. Jason Wright in Cascades is P7, 0.7 behind Chad de Jong. Jordan Hoban is P3, 0.7 behind Chad Bell. Chad de Jong in Knickerbrook is P6, 1.0 behind Kat Caperi. Jason Wright is 7th, 0.6 behind Chad de Jong. The leader has just finished the race. Morgan Goodwin finished P1. Chad Bell finished P2. Jordan Hoban finished P3. Kat Caperi finished 4th. Chad de Jong finished 5th. Jason Wright finished P6. Nico Quintal finished 7th. Connor Hess finished 8th. Kai Brown finished P9. Post finished 10th. Graham Brown finished 11th. Gary Vander Vyl finished 12th. Kyle Phillips finished 13th. Xavier Schalkwijk finished P14.